Hi, welcome to Always on Liberty. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button up in the corner there. Today we're at the Heartland RV's pre-rally, and I ran into a good friend of ours, Jim Tome from Clean Tank. And he's going to tell you a little bit about why we need our tanks clean. Let's talk about the black tank first.
Big problem on the black tank is always the sensors, right? The sensors don't read properly. If they read at all, it's almost like you have to order extra at the factory to get working sensors. And the reason they're not working primarily is because you've got a lot of buildup in your tanks. And that can have a lot to do with the additives that you're putting into your tank. So if you're using an enzyme or a biological or a harsh chemical, it's doing what it should be doing, in that it's breaking down everything in your tank, but into like a pancake batter, which is really sticky, and it's sticking to the walls and the surfaces of your tank, and especially those tank sensors. So it's important that you get cleanings in there, professional cleanings, at least once a year, and that will go in there with a what we call a hydrojet, and it basically jets the entire surfaces of your black tank clean, almost as if it came from the factory. It's that clean. And that's how you get your tanks clean, and then later we'll do a couple tips on how to keep them clean in between cleanings.
So you've gotten the black tank clean, so now you move on to the gray tank.
That's right. The gray tanks sometimes are almost more smelly than the black tank. And what we see in there, in addition to a lot of soap, we can see some grease in there, we can see food particles, hair. You'd be surprised at the things that come out of the gray tank. But similar to the black tank there, you want to get those professionally cleaned once a year. Most importantly, you're going to make sure you want to use a lot of water in those tanks to keep them nice and hydrated.
Okay, and then when you get the black tank and the gray tank clean, there's one more thing you do, and that's the hot water heater and the hot water tank. Tell us what you do with that.
There are two primary manufacturers of RV water heaters. There's Atwood, which makes the smaller ones, and Suburban, which makes a larger water heater, and those are common in Heartland and a lot of different size motor coaches. So those water heaters, you need to do maintenance on them regularly. If you're a full-time RVer, you're going to want to flush and clean those out at least 4 times a year. If you are a weekender, you do some extended vacations, but you're not in your RV all the time, then twice a year is the frequency that you're going to want to drain and flush those out.
Okay, now you mentioned something earlier, the anodes.
Yes.
Tell us about those.
Sure. So the water inside your water heater has a chemical and electrical and even a bacterial aspect to it. And that water wants to eat away at a soft metal. And usually that's the surfaces of the water heater tank. So we use an anode in there, like you do at your water heater at home if you have a stick and bricks home. And that anode is a softer metal than the surfaces of your water heater tank. And the water attacks the anode rather than the surfaces of the water heater tank. So when you're cleaning out your water heater, sometimes you'll see like a crystalline kind of thing come out, like little chunks of crystal or a sand, and that tends to be the broken down parts of the anode. Now, if you don't replace your anode with great frequency, then the water will actually start to attack the surfaces of the water heater, so the chunks that come out are actually the water heater being degraded.
So if you're a full-timer, you're obviously going to change your anode a little bit more frequently than if you put your RV into storage, or you're in an area that you don't have as hard water or whatever.
Sure. Depending on where you are doing your RVing at, the Southwest has some really especially horrible water. Depending on how often you're cleaning your hot water heater tank, you're going to change that anode anywhere from 6 months with extreme use to somewhere on the average, I'd say about 1.5 years or so. So when you start to see some really deep pitting on the anode, then it's time to replace it. And those are $20, $25 or so. So it's an easy and inexpensive maintenance tip.
Okay. Now, do you have any good tips on how we can keep our tanks clean, flowing thoroughly, and anything you can add to that?
The number one thing I always say, use plenty of water. We cannot use enough water as RVers. As RVers, we're always talking about how big a space is or how big a capacity is. When you're holding tanks, you want to use a lot of water. So empty them when they're about 90 to 100% full so that you have enough down pressure so it cleans the tank. That's number one tip. When you're cleaning or emptying your black tank, turn on that black flush so you get some turbulence in there. When the tanks are all the way clean and you're ready to use them again, put about 3 or 5 gallons in there to sort of prime the system and give your tanks a fighting chance. And then lastly, when you're traveling, if you can put again about 3 to 5 gallons, especially in the black tank, it's important so that it kind of moves around. You don't need to put the ice cubes in there; those don't really do anything. And then one more thing I did forget. I know that we use a lot of chemicals and biologicals and enzymes and things in our tanks. If you could stop using those. They do exactly what they're intended to do. They break it down, but it's kind of like a pancake mush. So if you go to our website, we've got a recipe for kind of a homemade solution. It's basically Calgon and pine sol and water, and it works miracles.
Okay, so Jim Thome is from Clean Tank. He has a blog, and we've asked Jim to occasionally do a guest blog for ours, but he has some really amazing tips and he writes his own content. So don't forget to go to cleantank.com. And he also has a rally schedule, so if you're in the area or you're attending a rally, you can get a hold of him for a really good flush and clean. And keeping those tanks clean is the ticket. And also, we on our own blog, we did a article on how to keep our drains clear. You just go into the search feature and type in the word drain, and that will come up, or the word water, and you'll get a whole bunch of articles we've written about water tanks and his guest posts. But so again, how can they contact you?
They can go to our website, Clean Tank. It's KLEENTANK.com. And again, we've got our blog there. We have articles that we post a couple a week. We have literally years of articles there. You can always give us a call at 815-508-3878. And we'd be happy to set up an appointment with you.
Right. And also, when you do the rallies, you'll offer a discount.
We do. If you're coming to our rally we're at, if you sign up with us online, either online or give us a phone call, we like to get appointments before the rally starts. We offer a $25 discount off of our services.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jim, so much for coming to do this little interview. There's not a whole heck of a lot of information from a professional like you. So, that's where we get the good stuff. So we thank you for following along. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button up there in the corner, always on Liberty. And until we see you again, underway is the only way.